Intuit has created several different versions of the QuickBooks accounting software. As we mentioned before, we'll be using the QuickBooks Pro 2008 in this training. But it's not required that you use QuickBooks Pro 2008. Let's talk about the different versions that are available. First of all, there's a QuickBooks Simple Start that's a very simple program. It's very basic and has some very basic fundamental features. Most companies can't use that software. It won't work to use Simple Start with this training because there's too much detail that we go into that's not available in the Simple Start software. The online edition is designed so that you can just go on the internet and use QuickBooks software or Intuit software over the internet. There's a monthly fee for this, and that monthly fee covers the cost of the software and storing all the files and all the backups and all the features that are available on that online edition. The online edition is also limited. It's not as limited as a simple. This is something that you might want to consider if you have multiple offices or people accessing the files from a lot of different locations. Of course, this is all done over the internet. The disadvantage of the online software is that you have to enter all of the transactions over the internet. You need to make sure that you have a high-speed internet. And the online edition does not have some of the features that are available on the other editions. Intuit has also created QuickBooks Pro for Mac. What they've done is created a version of QuickBooks that is 1 or 2 years behind the PC version of QuickBooks. There just aren't enough Mac users to justify spending the time to develop the software. The market share is just too small. Less than 10% of the QuickBooks users use Mac. One thing that a lot of Mac users do is use the PC emulation software that makes it so you can run PC software on Mac. That way you can get all of the features that are available in the PC of the QuickBooks and still be able to use your Mac. Next we have the QuickBooks Pro Edition. QuickBooks no longer creates or markets the QuickBooks Basic Edition. In 2006 they stopped selling it. With QuickBooks Pro, the main features that you're interested in are payroll, time tracking, job costing, multi-user, networking. That's up to 5 users accessing the same file simultaneously on Pro or Premiere. And the interface with Word and Excel. There are some other features listed in the manual that are also available in Pro. Most companies will be able to do everything they need with the Pro version of the software. There is no requirement to get any other version of the software. I have never recommended to any of my clients to purchase a Premier version of the software. They can do it if they want to, but they are not required to do so. Most of the features that are available in Premier or the industry-specific versions of the software, which we'll talk about in a few minutes, are created within Pro with a little extra effort. What they've done in the Premier software is that they've created some reports and some interfaces and some tasks that are not available in the Pro, but you could create in the Pro for the most part. Next we have QuickBooks Premier. Premier has all of the features of Pro, plus it has a couple extra features. First, it has remote access. What that means is that you can access the company file from anywhere in the world via the internet. All you have to do is have the computer turned on where the company file resides, and it must be connected to the internet. There is a charge for that service. However, the first year subscription is free when you purchase a Premier software. There are some additional reporting capabilities, and there are some inventory assembly that's not available in Pro, but most companies don't need that. One thing that's available with that Premier version of the software is that QuickBooks has created what are called industry-specific the software. What they've done is they've gone and found different kinds of industries that have unique requirements that not everybody needs. And so they created unique interfaces and unique reports and unique tasks that are necessary for that specific industry. Intuit has created about 6 or 7 different industry-specific versions of the software. And you can see those listed in the manual and the differences between those different industry-specific versions of the software. Again, if you have one of those industry types, you are not required to purchase the software. It may be helpful if you want to do that, and it can save you some time, but most of the things are creatable in QuickBooks Pro with some work. There's also an Enterprise Solutions versions of the software. What this is QuickBooks on steroids. It has all of the Premier features, plus up to 20 users can access a file at the same time in the Enterprise Solutions instead of just the 5 that are available in Pro and Premier. It has improved performance and enhanced security. It's much more powerful, not only in multi-user mode, but also just running the program. It also has enhanced security. In QuickBooks Pro and QuickBooks Premier, there are 8 different areas where you can limit the access that users have to the system. In Enterprise Solutions, there are 108 different areas where you can control access. So there's a lot more security. They've also eliminated the list limits or the list capacities that are found in Pro and Premier, and we'll talk about that as we're going through the training. I mentioned that this is QuickBooks on steroids. The price is also on steroids. The Enterprise Solutions is much more expensive. Most of you will be able to do just fine with Pro. One thing that you need to be aware of is that if you do have the Accountant's Edition of the software, which is actually what I'm using, but I'm displaying it in the QuickBooks Pro format, you have an option under File and Toggle to Another Edition. What this shows you is that you can display your QuickBooks on your screen in any of these different versions of the software. And you can switch between them just by going to this window. So if you have clients who are using different versions of the software, which is very possible, you can bring the same display on your screen when you're talking to them on the phone that they have on their screen. So you don't have to keep asking them what they see on their screen. When you purchase the Premier software, actually you can get any of these industry-specific versions of the software you want. So if you get Premier, you can tell it that you want to install the non-profit or the contractor edition or the accountant's edition or any of these other editions you want to use. If you've installed the software already and have just set up the general edition of the software and decide you want to go to one of the other editions, for example the accountant's edition, all you need to do is uninstall the software and then reinstall it, and you can just select which version you want to install because you have received all of those industry-specific editions of the software on your CD. As far as the edition you want to use, just select which one is going to work best for you. For most of you, Pro will do just fine. The Accounts Edition is very helpful for someone who is doing books for several different clients though.